Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of JaianMusic Notes. So excited. We're back with a solo episode. Let's be honest, the last few been a lot of guests on this show. A big thank you to Morgan, Sunar, Hotshot, Studio Mike. A lot of talented people came on the mic to share their thoughts and their love for anime music, and that's what the spirit of the show is all about. But I gotta show some love as well to these covers that I put a lot of energy into. And today, we're going to be breaking down a chiptune cover from Anime Anthems Volume 3, a full-length album, my album with the most tracks. It's got 21 in total. Today, we're talking about track number 8. The Hero from One Punch Man. But before we get into all of that, a big thank you to Laser Audio Technologies. They create innovative audio plugins designed to fill auditory niches, helping musicians like you and I craft better soundscapes and mixes, and they have amazing creative effects plugins. So please do not forget to use code JaianMusic for 25% off any Laser product. All of the money from that funds the podcast, such as GoPro Kyo, who does all of the artwork for the podcast. So please go show him some love. All of his links are also in the description. So, The Hero from One Punch Man, a dynamic theme that captures the essence of Saitama's heroism and, let's be honest, absurdity. Before we dive into it, I want to kind of just talk about how iconic this theme is. It's the opening of the first season of One Punch Man, and it's performed by Jam Project. The song is fast-paced, has a hard rock style, symbolizing Saitama's over-the-top power and larger-than-life battles in the series. It's composed by Hironobu Kageyama, who has done some amazing music. Really recommend go checking out that discography over there. And it has a dramatic climax, featuring soaring vocals, aggressive instrumentation, and it's a fan favorite for any anime music lover, such as yourself if you're listening to this show. So let's get into the cover. There's quite a few things to go over here. First of all, the layers here. We have synthesis and percussion. Percussion is not a thing that I use a lot in covers typically. I like just flowing in these ambient melodies and going all over the place. But this Anime Anthems Volume 3, I challenged myself with a style of music I'm really fond of, chiptunes, 8-bit music. I love 8-bit music. And I used a lot of different waveforms via the Magical 8-bit plugin. For the melody, I wanted something sharp and bold and energetic, capturing the essence of the hero. For the lower notes, something that's more well-rounded with edges and providing warmth that keeps this driving rhythm. And then we have some additional subtle textures in there to create grit and harmonic layers, mimicking the raw energy of the original track. The way I really view this cover is in two sections. You really have the melodic, harmonic composition of it all, but then this track is nothing without the percussion. This track does not work without drums. It really, really, really doesn't. I've done another piano version of The Hero, and piano solo, sure. Anything can kind of be played on piano. It's kind of that universal thing. But here, I used noise and filtered it with the Magical 8-bit plugin to create the percussion. Shaping hi-hats with higher notes and snares, and a sort of thumping percussion for the kick, and layering this noise with the melodic and harmonic synthesis going on. I managed to create a very dynamic feel. But the dynamic feel is also taken away with power. I'm going to get more into that in a second here, but let me just finish this whole percussion topic. I used parallel compression on the noise-based percussion to give it more of a dirty and punchy sound, which really contrasted beautifully with the cleaner melodic layers. That's the divide there. Crunchy percussion, cleaner synthesis for the melodies. But then you merge these two and you give it the authentic 8-bit aesthetic with bit crushing. So applying bit crushing across the entire mix evoked this really reduced audio resolution, but just enough to bring out retro sound without losing clarity. Subtle automation of the bit crusher during transitions and adding tension to relax the music was the idea, especially towards the buildup of the chorus. That moment right there, that is what the hero is all about. That is what fans chant. That is what this song climaxes to. That is why the listener listens this deep into the song. Although it's a very short song, it's barely a minute and a half. The drums, they got that parallel compression that gave them a raw, aggressive attack, emphasizing their punchiness. The melodic layers kept, relatively uncompressed for a cleaner, more distinct sound, ensuring the melody just stood out against the grittier percussion. And this intentional divide mirrored the dynamic contrast of the hero. For quieter verses and a high-octane chorus. The point of this, why I did it, was to recreate the dramatic final section of the original, using all these layers of sound waves, harmonies, percussion to simulate the soaring vocals from Jam Project. Which, I gotta say, Jam Project is a crazy cool band name. I wish I came up with that. All I'm good at is using JaianMusic and sticking a second word next to it. Oh, notes! Oh, yeah, great, that's a podcast. But make it weekly. So yeah, that's what it all came down to. Merging these two worlds together and then using slight automation on bit crushing, parallel compression on the drums so that they stood out and got that bigger punch. The drums really punch through in this mix, and then EQ carving and filtering so that for the drums themselves we could really get the feeling of a hi-hat, the feeling of a thump like a kick, the feeling of a snappy snare. Instrument selection was also very specific here, with the magical 8-bit plugin. I did play it outside of those other, of that plugin to go get more melodic things. And that lead synth, that sort of almost squeaking lead synthesizer, although annoying on its own, compelled me to be the lead melody just because I really felt like it stood out amongst the other synthesizers all combined together. So in closing, the hero, it's a super high energy, intense track, and it's a really cool, fun song to recreate and reinterpret in a chiptune form. The production process taught me a lot about balancing retro authenticity with modern mixing techniques, and chiptune music might seem simple, but you can really get detailed in there very easily with waveform selection, noise shaping, dynamic processing, making it all different to create I believe, memorable cover. I feel like this is a really cool, I picture this cover easily if there was a One Punch Man Game Boy game, this song could belong. So I want to say a big thank you to Laser Audio Technologies for sponsoring the podcast. Remember to use code JaianMusic for 25% off. Make sure to go give GoPro Q a follow, who does all of the artwork for the podcast. Subscribe to JaianMusic Notes if you enjoyed this breakdown. Share, leave a review. Your support helps me continue creating both the music and the podcast content. And subscribe to me at JaianMusic on social media. So tune in for the next one. And the next few, like I said, they're going to be more solo episodes because we kind of had a guest run going on there. People just wanted to talk on this podcast, and I love it. If you're interested to be a guest, please forward me a message. Get at me on social media. I have a lot of ideas, and there's really cool episodes coming down the pipe. That's all I'm going to say. So subscribe for now, and I'll see you in the next one.